Hey there. So if you've been struggling to call invoke endpoint with Python using SageMaker, or you have built and trained a SageMaker model and you want to call it from somewhere outside of using model name.predict that SageMaker gives you out of the box, if you've stumbled along this page, you may have hit or you may have had a challenge doing that. I did. I was unable to call this endpoint, so I was instantiating my model and I was forced to run XGB predict for an XGBoost model, but I wasn't able to use this client invoke endpoint method that the docs say is available. I couldn't figure out why this wasn't working. So let me show you really quickly what I did, and I'll start with the documentation because I guess it's not that it's incorrect. It's a general example. I need a specific example with actual Python. So what's going on here is there the key point, and I think you'll probably, if you're struggling with this may be where you're falling short. It's where I fell short, is this body object or this body variable. So it's the syntax is b bytes and then pipe and then a file. So all you need to know here is you just need to pass in a file like object or a file object. And so in Python, the way you do that is you do that with the IO method or string IO. So you're going to import the IO library or package. It's part of standard Python. So I'll show you the kind of end-to-end example. We're going to import this. We're going to import these libraries. So I'm going to bring in my training data. I'm going to go through almost, in this case, I'm just showing a full kind of data processing. So reading from the raw CSV, doing some feature engineering, and then splitting my data up into a training and test set. That we could have just read this training set or the test set from a CSV file directly, but just to kind of give you a full, end-to-end view here. But then this is the key step is, okay, we're going to take our test set, which is a pandas data frame, using scikit-learn's train test split. So kind of the syntax or the format, we're going to take that and we're going to write that to CSV, and we're going to pass it to this file object. And the other key is no headers and no index. So if that just keeps your data so it won't have 0, 1, 2, 3 as an index, and it won't have the headers. You remove those things and you pass it to this file object, and now you give the endpoint name, which is just the endpoint of your deployed model, just the actual name you give it when you do this in AWS. So you'll specify it as like example gus.test or whatever you call your endpoint. You pass that in, then you use that file object and you use the method get value, and you're going to be good to go. Now, content type CSV, accept. I don't even know what's going on here, nor do I care. This was the key. And once you do that, you pass in this file object with the method get value, then you'll be able to make your actual prediction, or you're going to invoke the endpoint, and it will just work. So we'll run this, and then we'll return our responses. And for the output here, I'm just making a little crosstab to show the actual prediction. So that doesn't matter. But the key is, if I just read this, it took the response following the docs, went to the response body, decoded to ASCII, and then numpy from string, blah, blah, blah. This is in their information too. But this was really the key, was this body object. So make sure you don't just pass in a CSV file. You go ahead and create a file object, write it to it, and you'll be good to go. So hope you find this useful.